First, my name is Todd Shaffer. I'm the manager of research for VectorVest. I'm working on my 13th year, lucky 13. So I hope there's nothing that I'm not aware of. All right, so probably my most regular contact with you folks is through the Successful Investing Quick Start course and the coaching that we do every Thursday. So if you're not aware of that, please make yourself available. Come on in the room. We're friendly folks, so we'll treat you well. For my picks, I like to give a little background to kind of set the stage for how I got to where I am. And last time I was with you guys, actually kind of similar market conditions where the market was soft, was pulling back, and when I'm in that kind of situation, I'm always curious to know what's working in the market. And so I like a top-down approach. And so on this go-around, let's go into the Unisearch tool. One of the easiest things I think that you can do is I go to the Delta Searches sectors, I prefer sectors, and look for the 10-day RT Delta. And just go ahead and run that search. So over the last 10 days, the delta is the percentage change of the RT value over the last 10 days. So just looking in that first column, you have the computed value, or at least you did. The first thing I noticed is there are 4 sectors that are even accelerating over the last 10 days, right? And so when I talk about focused market action, that's what I mean, is that there are a few accelerating sectors in this time frame. So, but I also want you to remember that in each of those sectors, you have multiple industries. So if you go to the Delta Searches Industries and do the same thing, the 10-day delta on RT, here are the
crypto.
Yeah, crypto, isn't that interesting? And contra ETFs.
Maybe those guys were right.
No, they weren't.
So these are but there's our friends in the shipping industry within the transportation sector, right? So these are the guys that are really booming. But remember, this is a narrower slice of the broader sector. So this gives you a feel for what's moving within the industry. So that's contextually sets the stage for me saying, well, okay, I know the market's been in pullback, that it's a fairly focused market. If I'm going to go looking for stocks to buy long in this environment, then yes, I want them to be trending and accelerating, but I also want to give consideration to their industry and sector. So for me, I went to the cherry picking, the first thing I always do is I just go to the cherry picking folder, look at the Midas Touch watch list. Yeah, go VSD, that's fine. So every stock in the Midas Touch watch list, by definition, meets the criteria to be a Midas Touch stock. That its moving averages of stop price and the RT are all at 3-month highs and that they're all moving positively, which is a great definition of uptrending stocks. Let's minimize the search bar there, Glenn. The search window, so you can see more of the data.
Not that.
The toolbar.
The search window on the left.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Folders.
Move that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I like to do a custom sort here. We're sorted by VST descending by default. I reconfigure the sort to be RT times CI. So I'm looking for stocks that are accelerating but also have persistent price patterns. Click OK. We resort the database. And now you can shrink the search parameters. But notice you're seeing a lot of the same players that these guys have been talking about already. Meritage Homes, right? We're right up in the builders and in the other sectors that we saw were accelerating. So my choice is coming out of this list. The first one that I ran across was Sun Communities, SUI. Now, there are other candidates here that have already been covered, right? So it's not to discount them at all. This stock you can see is a pricier stock at 150 bucks, right? So I don't see that we're in terms of the market performance, I'm not in an explosive growth phase in the market. So I'm pulling back a little bit from looking for the explosive growth phase in the stocks that I'm considering, right? But if I scroll to the right, part of the story of this also is the VectorVest analysis, the RV and the RS scores, right? So some communities, their growth rate's not fantastic, but of that sector, 15% annualized growth rates is actually leading within the sector. Great safety scores, right? Currently, even have a dividend yield if you scroll over a little bit more of 2 points. Right? So I guess from this point, let's jump back to the graph and let's look at their graph. And one of the things that actually I didn't talk about on that screen, it's pretty overvalued as well, because this is, you can see, it's been on this long run, right? And look at that earnings performance, and you're at the end of you're at the mature end of a bull market, right? So it's not terribly surprising. I also noticed that the RT had been slowing a little, but we got a little uplift, this little uptick here, and put in the new high. So I'm really interested in seeing the breakout from here. Prices slowed over the last 2 sessions. I'm really interested in seeing this price action moving higher, right, for my entry. But I like the overall pattern. That 40-day, it's 40-day EMA, right?
Yes.
The 40-day is a fantastic support line, a trend line for the stock. That's just been a steady eddy. And the REIT sector was still in growth phase. All right, so that's pick number 1.
I like it. Me likey, me likey.
I like you. I just think you got to be careful, like you mentioned, the RT hitting lower highs. His price has been hitting higher highs. I mean, granted, it could hold that for a while, but momentum is waning a little bit at this new high. But I mean, ride the trend for as long as you have it.
I think holding some form of REIT is a great idea, and this is a surprise to me. I haven't seen one that's quite as steady as this in a while. You know, Jim brought NEE, Next Era, to the table a few months
What
ago.
was HEI? That was not a
That's Heiko, I
Yeah,
think. That's
yeah.
a defense stock.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, but this looks great, and it's new to me, so I like it even more. I'll
And
be
guess
looking
what?
at it.
It's new to a lot of people out
Yeah.
there. How about that? How
Yeah.
about that? That's new to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Well, it was part of that rotation into safety too, right? So that's part of the performance reasons here.
Yeah.
There are several candidates within the cohort that have similar price patterns. These guys had the best growth rates.
How's their
And,
yield?
Earnings yield?
Earnings or
No, dividend, man.
was 2 points.
Yeah, it was 1.98. Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Plus, you get the appreciation. You know,
Yeah.
that's a bonus.
Oh yeah.
So not really accelerating, right? Not what I typically look for on a growth basis, but I'm not in my typical place.
You get the paychecks.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go to your next stock, the winner of the 2-day stream pass is David Gibson.
All right, David.
David, let's clap for David.
David.
Woo. All right, so you got to now email marketing at VectorVest.com to get your free pass to the 2020 2-day Tampa deal. So just wanted to let you know. All right, I did all of that just for that. I think he deserved it.
Our next trade is Target. Now, the retail space is kind of interesting because if you take a look at that same analysis that I did, the retail industry.
Is this the one you want?
Yeah, go ahead and find it. That's fine.
Well, this is looking at the stocks.
Target's just further down the list. I found them both just scrolling the list.
Well, it ain't. I got.
Oh, you don't have enough? It's not in the top 20?
Lord have mercy on my soul. I'll do that. Todd tries my patience every day. We sit right
I
across
do that
from
just by breathing.
he sits right across from me, so we talk all day long. Okay, there's Target, man.
All right, so fundamentals a little bit better here. Still 13% growth rate, right? It's not knocking the ball out of the park here, but they've got solid fundamentals. Again, a dividend yield 2.33%. The interesting part for me was maybe the easiest way to do this is just right-click on Target, go ahead and bring up the analysis report. If you look at the industry still has a positive RT value, but it had been decelerating. And you can see that in the industry graph. But it's been picking up. It's been in the uptick, right? We're also coming into the fall season, and they've been getting a lot of good press about not only during doing earnings and sales beats, but also forecasting a strong holiday season, right? So that's lending some of the momentum on the play. So let's go back to the stock graph. You can see the stock, just like the industry, had been flattening for months now, right? But here I am testing that resistance level, so I'm looking for the breakout above that resistance level. The earnings, right? You got that nice earnings pop that should be driving us farther. There's no acceleration in RT unless you want to take it in the last month, right? But that's because I've been channeling, so I'm not so worried about that. This is one of those, I'm ready to pull the trigger. All I need is
A breakout.
a breakout.
I'm on board with retail is cyclical, but you are getting into the holiday season. Target, as many people call it. If they're forecasting already good sales going into the holiday season, that could help to push you up against or through that level of resistance. Earnings look great. Company makes money. Company, and that's the engine that drives the stock's price higher. Earnings, and if they're making money, it's going to make sense. Haha, you get it? Money.
Dollars and.
If it's making, all right, fine. If it's making dollars, it's making sense. Altogether, it makes sense. Steve?
I'm going to venture a guess here because maybe you know the answer. Probably best of breed in the space.
I didn't look at the whole industry wrap. I was working off of that sheet, but I'm going to venture that yes, it's very.
I think it's safe to say, Todd, that you and I are on the right track.
Yeah.
That has been an awful sore spot in the market. Major chains, So here's a company that has withstood a lot of that, and the relative safety rating in VectorVest means a lot, doesn't it? And for them to be walking in here with a 1.1 means that they've been able to fare pretty well through what's been very turbulent times for a lot of the retail major chains. So if I were to pick a stock from retail major chains, Target looks like it would be very, very high on the list, probably the one on what I see there. I like what I see. Really do.
Patrick?
Looks good to me.
So the cool thing is about a lot of the things that we're looking at or that we're analyzing stocks with, when we talk about the fundamentals, we look at the relative value, relative safety. Nobody else has that out there. So we do look at moving averages. That's out there all over the place. We look at support and resistance. That's out there all over the place. We look at earnings yield. We can look to see if a stock is under or over its value. Steve talked about one of his stocks being overvalued, but why it was overvalued. But that's the kind of information that you need to have at your fingertips to make a decision. We're looking at relative value, a stock's long-term upside potential as compared to a AAA corporate bond. We're looking at relative safety, the indicator of risk for the stock's ability to meet or exceed its earnings expectation. These are the things that make VectorVest what it is and why it's important, if you're not a subscriber, to at least try the software. Just try it. That's all I say. Just try it. But a lot of what we're doing out here is what you can do anywhere, but a lot of what we're doing is proprietary to our software, which you can't do anyplace else. And our earnings per share, just to let you know, is forecasted. So when you're watching a stock and you're looking at the earnings on the stock, it is forecasted a year out. Why is that important? Well, I want to make sure that if I'm getting into a stock, that by this time next year, if it's projected to be at this point, wow, that's the stock that attracts my attention. So when we're looking at these stocks that have rising earnings, they are projected or forecasted, but that's important. That's important. All right, that's all of the stocks. So we talked about the winner. Who won the 2-day, and number two, the next thing we want to do is Steve talks about a little bit about the 2-day investment course.
All right, cool. So yeah, great opportunity, I think, for everyone. All you have to do is go to www.vectorvest.com/events. That'll take you to a place where you can learn more about the Tampa 2-day. The Tampa 2-day is always our big, kind of grandiose event for the year. Tons and tons of VectorVest subscribers will be there. there will be subscribers there that have been coming for the last couple of decades, you know, and so there's something there that you're gonna, you know, everybody walks away with knowledge, no matter whether you're seeing VectorVest live and in action for the first time, or you've literally becoming every year for the last 19 years, like I've been going to teach it. I think I've missed one of the last 19 anyway. But what's going to be really cool is we're getting back to where we began with the 2-day, at least when I started teaching it 18, 19 years ago. Man, it's a long time. But we used to split things out.
Old.
I know.
Wait, I'm the oldest.
see how
I'm the
these
second oldest guy in the room.
Man, I'm catching up. But we're going to split out into 2 tracks, and that was awesome then, and it will be awesome now, because what we're going to do is we're going to have one track that's going to be more retirement-minded, more VectorVest, simple approach. We're going to have a separate track that's going to be more VectorVest aggressive, if you will, more of a trader's track. So you'll have a retirement-minded track, a trader's track, and you'll have the ability to look at the agenda on the website when you go check it out. And you'll have the ability to even bounce back and forth between tracks. So there might be something that you're super comfortable with on the retirement track already, and you have this opportunity to bounce over to the trader track if that presentation looks like it might interest you a little bit more, and then bounce right back over, you know, to the retirement track. So it's going to offer up a ton of flexibility. I think that's going to be something that's been long overdue. We do have a wide difference between people that have been with VectorVest for, you know, nearly 20 years to people who are just coming on board. And so it's going to offer up truly something for anyone who comes. And you can also attend these via live stream. And you'd have the same capability, am I right, Joe, to kind of bounce back and forth between tracks. So I know those guys, you know, they're going to have some challenges. It's going to be fun for them to work through some of those things. But I'd expect a first-class production, as you always should, you know, from VectorVest. We pride ourselves in providing the best educational experience anywhere at any price. And at $295 early bird, that's the current special price for this 2-day event. It's 2 full days. And when we say full days, we mean full days, buddy. But it's very informative, and for that price, it's hard to pass up. It really is. I don't want to go on and make this seem like some kind of huge sales pitch. I just tried to do a little ditty from the heart. I've never had anybody upset at going to the 2-day, and I've never had anybody really upset at going to any of our courses. You know,
I agree with that.
But we got courses that cost $3,000 to $4,000. This one here at $295 is a bang-up event.
All right. Thank you for that, Steve.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Now, if you're new to the software or would like refresher information about the software, click on this Getting Started video right here. Thanks to all of your input, here's a YouTube video that we think would be perfect for you. Click right here. If nothing else, folks, just hit the subscribe button right here.